For Hazzard to resign. Colloquially known as the health hazard. And one's only got to look at what we read on the paper today, with emergency waiting times skyrocketing on our hospitals. Frankly, I think at this point in time, under the stewardship of this health minister, health in New South Wales is absolutely in the hazard zone. This is about Mona Vale Hospital. Yes, we're saying fix that hospital on the hill, we need it, but let's get Mona Vale acute services reopened, because that's what we're about. You need to keep up with the times on health. Technology is a great driver of health these days, so you do need current equipment, and we support that. Not hard to put it in Mona Vale, by the way. However, what's really interesting about this time round is the clinicians have been coming up to us, signing our documents, writing us letters, saying they support our action. Clinicians and community aligned. Out in left field, blaming the clinicians for talking about the risks that patients are going through, blaming these people for being honest, we have our health minister.
Hazzard, you're not listening, or Hazzard is here to listen. Who wants to talk? Good morning all. Parry! How are you, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you. I just had to leave a school presentation day to come and listen to you. I'm here. So Parry, speak.
Okay, what the community wants, Brad, is they want the return of appropriate acute services to Mona Vale Hospital.
Right.
Now, they're optional how that is done. We have presented what we believe is the right model of care. We've presented that to Northern Sydney Health and also to the Opposition Spokesman on Health. And that model of care is aligned to the Sunshine Coast model, where they built the new hospital in the centre called the Sunshine Coast University.
Yeah, I know the hospital.
And then the equivalent to Mona Vale is Nambour, where what they did was they turned Nambour into, left acute services there, but had the focus on age, which is what the government's policy has been, to put a focus on age with what's in Mona Vale.
Yeah,
and we support all the things that are going in there. I mean, I chaired a committee that was very involved in getting that, right, to get some of those things, so I support all that. However, what they also did was they retained acute services, they retained surgery, they do orthopaedic surgery there and a range of other surgery there. I guess the only thing that they don't have that we'd like to see returned there is a maternity.
Yes.
And it has been raised here today, and I must admit our committee hasn't had the opportunity to talk about it, is mental health, seeing there isn't one here now, which it's gone from, well, mental health, the lady was just talking about it before, has gone from Manly, which had a mental health unit.
There's two magnificent. Have you been up to the hospital?
We're going up.
There is two amazing mental health services. The mental health nurse that won the award said to me, and I quote, "This is the most amazing facility I've been in," and she also said how incredible that every patient gets their own private room. And if you've had anybody, and I have, if you've ever had anybody up in East Wing, you know what that was like. This is 21st century mental health. So
perfect. I don't. Hang on.
So you've got a variety of different views,
well, we haven't actually.
Well, it's not like you have.
That question was raised today for the first time. The views are pretty clear, and that's acute services back at Mona Vale. We're quite happy if it's done through the redevelopment of the existing building, or renovation of the existing building, or redevelopment of a new building. We're open to that. We're having discussions, and we'll continue to have discussions with Deb Wilcox and her team about what we consider the right service mix. We're not saying it needed to stay at level 4, was a level 4. We believe level 3 is an appropriate level. Some services may be level 2, some may be level 4, but generally a level 3. And we are very happy to work with the health and anyone else to achieve that goal. And I have to say, as a community, the support's been incredible and continues to be incredible, and it will continue. This community will just keep fighting this.
All right, well, is there any other specific
basic services here in Mona Vale on the petition? We've been stripped of them, and we want them back, and we're demanding them.
Okay, does anybody else want to say that?
Yeah, we also mentioned
Tony.
Some of your friends are your worst enemies.
One at a
I
time.
have 2 ears, but they have to concentrate on one thing, okay?
Some of your friends are your worst enemies, right? The model for this hospital, French's Forest, was the Fiona Stanley Hospital in Western Australia, I understand.
and the Serco had the contract for that. With that and Joondalup, that was $4.3 billion. And a guy called Ken Snowball was the Western Australian Director General of Health. Apparently they went over budget by a matter of $300 million, which is half the cost of his hospital, right? And then in August 2015, Tony Abbott...
Someone else relevant.
There's 80 less public beds in the new hospital as there was between Mona Vale and Manly combined.
No, there's
and
a total of more beds, but that's because we're keeping beds at Mona Vale and you're just looking at one hospital.
Keeping beds at Mona Vale? Can I quote you on that?
Well, we are. We have rehab, palliative care, and a whole host of beds.
What about acute services? None.
No,
Sorry,
hang on.
If you had a heart attack, I'm sorry, what's your name?
My name's John.
John, if you had a heart attack and you'd been to Mona Vale previously, roughly half of the people who went there had to be transferred from Mona Vale because they had no capacity to do stenting. And in fact, in my time in politics, I remember quite a number of people who passed away. One gentleman from Wheeler Heights was the first one who ever did. He was taken to Mona Vale. They realised after a few minutes that he couldn't actually be treated there. So they then called for the ambulance, had to wait for the ambulance to come back. When the ambulance came back, they took him to North Shore, which is obviously longer than Northern Beaches. And hang on, sorry, you've had your say, I'm having mine. And at the end of the day, I rang the cardiologist and he said, Brad, if they had simply brought the patient here to North Shore, the patient would have survived. So we now have that capacity here at our new hospital.
One point. All that happened because you ran services down to Mona Vale.
That's rubbish. That is rubbish. I did. That was in the...
Okay, you're predecessor.
I'm sorry. Actually, that was under the Labor Party. I've been here 28 years, and that was 20 years ago.
Anyway, but it does ignore.
You seriously need to listen to what other doctors are saying.
Well, the doctors are coming out in droves and now supporting.
This lady has been holding and waiting politely. So can I just listen to what she has to say?
I have two things. Okay, so what the director of the Northern Beaches Hospital said before she resigned.
ED or?
No, at the opening. So what she said is, when the hospital's fully functioning in February next year, they will be seeing 50,000 patients a year in emergency. That's fine. Between Mona Vale and Manly, between the years 2016 to 2017, New South Wales facts, they saw nearly 60,000. So we've got 60,000 that were being seen on the coastal strip, and that 60,000, only 50,000 will be being seen, according to your own spokespeople, with the increased catchment area. Have you been to Warriewood lately? The aged care. So there aren't enough private beds. And may I also finish? I'm Helen. May I also say there is an aged population. Look at the number of nursing homes. Yeah, look at the nursing homes. For many old people, there is no bus to the new hospital. There is no bus directly from Mona Vale, up Mona Vale Road. So you've got your aged people who might slip out of bed, break a wrist. They need a very quick surgical fix. They do not need to be dragged to another hospital, lie there lonely when their old friends cannot even get up the road to visit them. So loneliness will be a really bad issue, and it is proven that families need. And I will say, may I just say one more? I am so sorry. When all the roads are flooded, as they were last Wednesday, there were flooding, there were accidents. At one point, all our roads were not passable, not for the whole day, but for certain periods. Helicopters could not have flown in that weather, and this was the big wet. So we could have got to Mona Vale, but anybody at Palm Beach would have been in a serious issue when you can't get to the new hospital. We're all for the new one. We just need our level 3 back.
Can I say to you, the advice that we took in determining what was an appropriate model wasn't a political issue. It was not political. What it was we took advice from the clinicians and the doctors. Most of you would know.
Bad advice.
Most of you would know Andy Ratchford and the ED team who previously worked at Mona Vale. Yes. I have been up to the new hospital. I can't tell you how many times. And Andy is saying to me that this is the safest model we could possibly have. And what he is saying, also, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but the urgent care centre, which is now there at Mona Vale, and look, I have to say, I think there was some doubt about whether or not that was needed. The community actually said that they wanted something there for emergencies, and we looked at that and I asked, hang on, I went back and talked to the went back and talked to the doctors, and they came up with this model themselves. What they're telling me is today, in the last few weeks, we've been getting around about 50 to 60 people going into the urgent care centre. Yep. And this is advice at last week, so I'm not, might be wrong in the last few days. But what they told me was there'd only been about half a dozen people who had to be transferred. So people are actually self-selecting, and they know what they can actually get and what is sensible at Mona Vale and what is necessary at the Northern Beaches. Can I also say though, Rob Stokes has conveyed to me many times your thoughts and some other obviously residents' thoughts. As a result of that, I went back to the Area Health Service and I said to them, the issues is you've removed the imaging department, that is ultrasound, CAT scans, and also there was some issue around snake venom, because obviously down our way we all know the importance of having the anti-venom arrangements. As a result of your efforts, that was brought to my attention, and I thank you for that, because I wasn't aware of the need. I thought that was on the advice they'd given me, but when I went back and asked them, they said, well, we can do that, Minister. So we now have the CAT scan again operational at Mona Vale. We now have the ultrasound again operational at Mona Vale. We now have the anti-venom again operational at Mona Vale. And if there are those things that fit within what really does amount to an emergency care centre, but we've sent the message through being an urgent care, that if it's really serious, like what you were saying, Steve, for the heart issue, if you have a heart issue, for heaven's sake, go where they can actually do the stenting, where they can do all of the things that can be done. Because, sorry? Oh, North Shore. What's your name? Sue, you can go to North Shore if you want to, but this one's 20 minutes.
We were told to go.
So, can I say, I have listened and continue to listen, contrary to what I just saw. I am very much, as most of you would know, and many of you know me anyway, from the last umpteen years, I've lived on the peninsula all my life. I get the fact that we need really good hospitals, but I would ask you just to think about the fact that if the emergency doctors, the ones who fly in helicopters, the ones who are actually there at the front door, the ones who know whether you need to be at Mona Vale or here, they are giving us that advice, okay? So, and I know everybody would like, sorry. That's, no one what?
They say that Mona Vale is upgraded.
It is a public hospital. It is a public hospital. Ma'am, it is.
I'm not. It's about.
Hang on. Let me explain. Let me explain to you, because I hear that other comment. Can I explain? There is a budget. The budget in New South Wales is roughly 1/3 of the state budget. That's health. When we buy services, hang on, may I speak please, ma'am? That's very interesting, but may I speak? When we buy services in a public hospital, the central ministry actually works out roughly how many people are going to come through an emergency department, how many people are going to require cardiac assistance, how many are going to require maternity assistance. The budget is allocated. We buy services from a local government hospital. It is absolutely no different with this hospital. We are buying the services. It's exactly the same. And can I also say to you, can I also, well, hang on, are you interested in the staffing conditions, ma'am, or are you interested in the patients? What are you talking about?
Happy staff is better service.
Well, let me tell you, I have been up there, and by the sound of it, ma'am, you haven't been, because I've been in there probably a couple hundred times. And let me tell you, I've been in there probably 50 to 100 times since it opened. And each of the nurses are telling me they love the place.
They're resigning.
In fact, that's not true. Not true. Can I tell you, there was a particular, actually sir, I'm not, but you are. There was a young nurse there who said to me,
not me, you're the one who's talking rubbish.
There were two other nurses and they said, we have made a fabulous team. We need people outside to be positive about us. My message to you is get positive and support the nurses, the doctors, the allied health staff, and that's what I'm doing. Having said that, you now do have, and we all have, which I mean I obviously have friends and family living around Mona Vale and further north, we now have an urgent care centre that has got what you have been arguing for, which is back with the ultrasound, back with the CAT scan, back with the anti-venoms, And if there turns out to be more things that are needed in that urgent care centre, of course we will look at that and try and get that delivered as well.
So we really want to talk about maternity services, the models of care, particularly that we feel that public models of care are not being followed as well as they are in other public hospitals. We're concerned about...
I've been up there because I've had some friends who've actually had babies up there,
yes,
and they're saying it's fantastic. In fact, I was just talking to another lady who is going up there in the next few weeks, and she said she's been up there and it looks fantastic, sounds fantastic. What is the actual issue?
We're concerned for midwife group practice that a lot of the contracts haven't been honoured to begin with, and now apparently that's changed, but the staffing are not getting the money that they need. So MGP has a different, midwife group practice has a different contract level that from other midwives, and
why
that
don't you come and talk to me about that?
Yeah,
because I wasn't aware of that, but come and talk to me.
Yeah, okay, and we're also concerned like access to the public baths.
Before you go, can you drop into Noel then and just tell her that Brad said,
talk to you about
Brad said I want to talk to you about that stuff, because you probably remember after I became health minister, I got the extra huge birthing bath there.
Yes.
It was $500,000 and they said to me no, and I said actually, you know what, yes, because midwife birthing and that sort of aspect for women must be there. So if there's issues that you're still worried about, come and talk to me.
Can I just ask you a couple of questions?
Hello, what's your name?
My name's Miranda Causey. I'm actually the Greens candidate for Pittwater.
No, Miranda. No, I'm not getting involved in Greens politics. Actually, I'll let no, sorry, I will. Why not?
You're not prepared to answer questions about
journalist.
Well,
I am a journalist.
how can you be a journalist and a Greens candidate? Who are you a journalist for?
Well, there are lots of people who do
Who are you a
jobs
journalist for? Are you writing? Are you asking me questions?
I am trained as a journalist.
Are you asking me as a resident or as a Greens
I'm
candidate?
revealing to you that I am the Greens candidate.
All right, ask a question.
Okay?
Yep.
I am not being paid for any work that I'm doing.
Okay.
I do all of this voluntarily.
Well, normally a Liberal and a Green and a Labor person wouldn't suddenly get involved in something like this, but yeah, okay, off you go.
Well, I'm surprised that the Liberals wouldn't get involved in this.
In a political debate with the community, if I want to do that, I'll do that without you, but I'm answering your question as a community member, if you ask me quickly.
Okay, so what I'd like to know is, now that we know that there are doctors who have lost confidence in the hospital at French's Forest.
How many?
We know
How many?
that, I don't know how many, but I
Exactly.
certainly know
You know how
the
many
senior
staff there are? There are
doctors.
1,300
I think
staff.
that's irrelevant.
No, it's
the
not.
point is,
No, it's not.
well, we know that there are at least...
Surrounded by Greens, it's a great day. Surrounded by Greens, a great day.
The Greens are actually here to fight for the community.
Yeah.
The point is,
You'll never be able to produce a thing.
the doctors, the most senior doctors have lost confidence in the hospital. We know from the number of people who are contacting us that the public have lost confidence. What should people do over summer, now that we don't have a reliable hospital anywhere on the northern beaches? The one at French's Forest is clearly not reliable. What are people to do if they're at Palm Beach or at Collaroy or Avalon and somebody drowns or their kid...
All right, as I've just answered the question, this is the best hospital model recommended by the emergency doctors who work at Mona Vale. They now run the Northern Beaches Hospital, and your comment that there's been some practitioners leave, yeah, I think there's been 2, maybe 3 out of 1,300 staff. And that is not an indication of any major issues in the hospital at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have work to do in the city.
So insufficient structural separation.
How does 2 into 1 go though? They're close to the hospital and we've got 1.
Yeah, but what?
In the growing population, I live in Warriewood.
Can I tell you, Tina, the reason why is like North Shore or St George or any of the big hospitals have more facilities. There are far more in this hospital. As somebody said before, the public health, mental health, for example, up at Manly, the staff are great, fantastic, but they work, and any one of us, almost all of us, I would think, have had family or friends in East Wing at some point. It wasn't the best. It was very dark. Everybody shared 2 people minimum to a room.
Because you didn't put any money into it. Can you stop?
Oh man, seriously. All right, and this has now got mental health facilities. You know what? We're putting more money into health than any government in history. And for you to say that, ma'am, shows absolute ignorance of the issue. That's it, I'm going.
No, we need to...
Why has your government abandoned this private-public partnership model for future hospitals?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Why? Because all the hospitals that were in the pipeline to be done are going to be public hospitals. They are not
whatever
going
model
to have...
suits the community is what will work.
This is a one-off. You had to buy back. You had to buy back Hawkesbury 10 years later. Why not just take over? Take over this hospital.
Hawkesbury under Labor, all right?
Yeah, no,
Sorry, yeah, go on. And Joondalup under a Labor government in WA.
I'm not political, and I'm not a member of any political party.
No, I've got to go. I've got to get in the city. I've come to talk to you, and I've been here half an hour.
I appreciate that, brother. I really appreciate that. Okay, to me, to my way, decent healthcare through hospitals can be delivered very effectively through networks. We've always felt you needed to on the Northern Beaches, and we always believe very strongly that the network should include Mona Vale. Now,
it does.
Well, it does, but it's as a subacute, right? We're saying it needs acute services.
It has urgent care.
It's subacute.
It has urgent care.
That's still subacute. Hang on.
It has urgent care.
It's still subacute. Now, having said that, the community strongly believes and will continue to fight for that model of care for Mona Vale as well, to get acute services. The fact is that patients bypassed Mona Vale absolutely because they went to a trauma hospital, which is level 6 Royal North Shore. Patients bypass the new hospital because they need to go to a trauma hospital at Royal North Shore. Yes, less patients pass, but patients still bypass. And the other thing it ignores is the numbers of people who frankly would say had their lives saved, who if they've had to travel the extra distance would be in deep, deep trouble. And they are the 143 people who required resuscitation instant they arrive.
It's not necessarily the case.
And the other 3,500 that,
it is not necessarily the
needed
case.
in 10 minutes.
The example I gave you, which has occurred on numerous occasions over many years, was because people went to Mona Vale and could not be treated there.
We accept that.
And same
we accept that, but that ignores those. Sorry,
they still can.
Sorry,
we know you, and I forgot your name again.
That.
Helen, what's your surname? Sorry, I'm not going to do it. What's your surname?
Richards.
I know you're from somewhere.
May I say as a registered nurse?
Sorry, Parry. Helen's getting the last one.
Okay.
Sorry, as a registered nurse, so people go
That's maybe where I bet you, as a nurse.
to Mona Vale Hospital, they need resuscitation. Without an anaesthetist and without surgery and ICU, they cannot intubate, they cannot be a true resus team. And people do fall in that door. They
Do you work in ED?
I have, and I am
Do
a
you work
registered.
in ED?
No, not
Andy Rashford
currently.
has a different view, and so do the ED specialists up at the Northern Beaches. Okay, folks, thank you very much. Can I just say, finally, hang on, can I...
2019. Will you demolish the building at Mona Vale?
No, absolutely not.
You're not going to...
Yeah, sorry. There are parts of it with asbestos. I haven't seen anything at all on that, but there is no intent to demolish anything. All right, nothing. But if there's asbestos, there might have to be reparations. I don't know.
Is it still teething problems up at Northern Beaches Hospital?
Yes.
It's still the doctor's fault.
Now, whilst I admire your enthusiasm, I want to thank the people who politely asked the questions and actually taken the answers. And the lady here who actually has been rude to me a few times, I thank her too. And I thank you. Well, ma'am, maybe I do, because you decided that, but I don't know why you get to be judged. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
I've given my details, but we can organise a meeting.
Okay, Nolan will take it then, that's fine. All right.
Thank
Yours?
you. We're together.
Okay, yours?
This is mine,
What's his name? Ken. Better to change the sleep, right? I love you. I love it. All right, what's your name? Well done, Caroline. All right, so I'll see you at some point next... Do you have to do it now? Can we do it in January?
January's fine.
Great, okay. Because I'm flat chat at the moment, and I'm running late for meetings in the city at the moment. All right. See you. Bye, guys.